Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So welcome to the second part of this Python interview question series, and now today basically we are going to see another 5 questions which are basically frequently coming in the Python interviews. Right, let's get started with the thing. So the very first question that we are gonna see today is what are Python packages? Now, the very frequently asked questions includes the very first question, that is what are Python packages? Now, here basically in this condition, that if someone is asking to you what are packages, so we just need to give a very simple and a very small definition for the Python packages, right? We all know that basically Python has many libraries, many packages, many modules installed in it. Basically they are helpful in making different types of projects, doing different activities with the help of Python programming language, right? And basically this is the only reason that's why actually Python is preferred most nowadays, because the modules, the packages which we are having in Python, it actually makes the Python a very easy language to use and a very easy language to write out the codes with. Right, so let's start with the definition for the Python packages. Right, I will just put this one here. Let's start writing out the definition for the Python package. So if someone's asked you that what are Python packages, so you are going to tell that Python packages. Okay, I would just write out the things. You can just note them down on a notebook or something wherever you're just making out your notes. Okay. So Python packages are namespaces. I would just write here like this. Okay. Python packages are namespaces containing multiple containing multiple modules. Now basically listen it in this way, understand it in this way, that basically we have different modules in Python, right? Now that modules come, and when this multiple modules come and just gathered together, so that is actually called a package. Okay, let's say you are having some one or two some notebooks with you, right? In that basically one or two single, that will be called your one notebook or your two notebooks, right? But in case wherever you are having a bunch of notebooks, that will be called a bulk of your notebooks, right? That will be a complete package at that place. So that the same thing applies here with the Python also, that Python packages are namespaces containing multiple modules. So in a package basically there are multiple modules. So do not forget this definition regarding the packages, because there is a lot of you can say a lot of confusion regarding the libraries, regarding the modules, regarding the packages and all those things. Okay, so make sure to remember that packages are contains different multiple modules in it, right? So this is definition for the Python packages. Right, let's move on to the second question for now. So the second question for now is that what are doc strings in Python? Now basically what are doc strings in Python? Now basically this is a very common question which is actually asked, because whenever we just study about the functions in Python programming, at that place this is a doc strings is a topic which actually comes and plays a very important role when you are just defining a function. Let me just give you a scenario that actually where doc strings are firstly used, and I'll be telling you that what are actually doc strings, right? So let's say you are making a project, and you are having a team of 6 to 7 members. Okay, you are making a project on Python. So in that basically you just need to declare many functions onto that project, right? Let's say some functions are defined by the first person, some functions are defined by the second, some function defined by the third, and like this. Okay, let's say there are 3 persons in that project which are coding, okay, which are just doing the code in Python. So you are basically define different functions onto that. Now at that particular place, when you just define on that functions, now let's say you have defined 10 functions. Okay, each person is defining 10 functions, so that consists of actually 30 functions. Now it's very hard for you, actually only for you to remember that basically what is that into 10 functions, right? Let's say you understand that what is in that 10 functions, it's absolutely fine. Now let's say you pass on your code to your next friend, okay, to your friend who is actually coding in Python as well. Just pass on your code to that friend. Now how will that person be able to understand that in this function what you have done, in this function what you have performed, and what is the thing that you have done? Now let's say the 20 functions which are now actually you have made 10 functions, your friend had made 10, both combined to the 20 functions. Now the third person who is coding, all that 20 functions have been passed on to that third person. So how will that third person understood that, okay, how like what are these 20 functions, what do they belong, what work do they actually perform, why are they defined, what is the function that they are performing, right? How will that person know? So in this is the case, this is a scenario, this is a place where you need the doc string. So doc strings are actually written inside the functions, and that are basically declared, and that lets you know that, okay, these are the things, these are the functions which you are performing inside your function. Okay, so this is the first use of doc strings which we have in Python programming, that doc strings are used to basically declare inside the function, and they basically inside that doc string you just write that what is your function actually doing. So whenever at any place when your program is completed, or any place whenever you just write, like call that function, and with the help of the doc string, so that will actually result you in the output that, okay, this was a function which was performing this particular thing. So it's easy for you to understand, to analyze that what is particularly written in code. If you just pass on your code to some another person, okay, then in that place also that person is able to understand that, okay, these are the things which you have written in this function, and this is the thing that you are performing. If you have simply given out the names that, okay, let's say this is the like this is maximum, this is minimum, and all those things, and how will that person be able to understand that what you are actually trying to do in that function, right? So I hope I just made this thing very clear to you that what's the use of docker strings. Okay, now let's move on to the definition, and let's write out some definition for this docker strings, and let's see that how we can just give out the answer for this question if it comes in the interviews, right? So what are docker strings in Python? So I'm just writing that docker strings, doc, for the very first thing that remove this this misconcept from your mind that doc strings are comments. No, they are not at all comments, right? Here one question can ask, can also come that are doc strings and comments same? So always write that no, doc strings and comments are not at all same. The very first reason that comments are written with the help of the hash sign, and doc strings are written between the inside the semicolons, inside the inverted commas. You can just call that anything, inside the semicolons or inside the inverted commas. So do not mix up both of the things. So doc strings and comments are not at all same. Okay, so I will just write that thing as well here, so that you just keep that thing and make your own notes for that. So doc strings are not comments. Okay, the very first thing that you need to tell that person, the interview, that doc strings are not comments. Okay, so what are actual doc strings? So they are, you can just call this, they are documentation strings. Documentation string. Documentation meaning you all understand, right? That basically documentation consists of all the like write up and all the things of that particular topic which you are talking about, right? So doc strings are a kind of documentation string. From the name as well, you can just understand, a doc is the short form which is used for documentation, right? And strings is already written. So these are the documentation strings. Okay, now basically how do we just write out the docker strings? So I would just add that they are written, as I mentioned, that they are written inside the triple semicolons. They are written inside I would just write here inside triple quotes. So you can just put that as quote. So let me just let you know how to write that. So you just write 1 2 3. Okay, 1 2 3 like this, and between this you just write whatever the doc string you want to write, and 1 2 3, it will be closed up like this. So like pair of 3 semicolons are needed. Okay, so in that case one side 3 will be there and another side 3 will be there. So total 6 will be there, and a pair of 3 will be there. Individual they are 6, and with the pair they are 3. Okay, please make sure to like understand this thing in a very clear way. Okay, fine. Now basically it's not the thing that they are assigned to some variable or something like that. No, you do not do that thing. Simply you just define your function. Inside that you just put on the semicolons and start writing that docker string which you just want to involve in that, and basically you just write out the whole function whatever you just needed. Okay, let me just give you an example here that how are they actually used. Okay, just let me quickly take out this next thing to a downside. After that we'll be just writing. Fine, let me just come here at this place. Okay, let's say I just write out a function, and I just make a function for the addition. Now basically you'll not be needing any doc string for making a addition function, but I'm just simply giving an example here. Okay, so let's say I just make a function that is def addition. Okay, and like this, fine. Come on to the next line. So doc strings are always declared as soon as you just define your function and come inside the function. So whenever you just want to declare doc string, so you will just declare a doc string here. So let's say these are the three semicolons which I write. So if inside this I would write that this function performs addition. Okay, this function performs, let's say, addition. Okay, and I would simply, okay, let me just go here like this, and I would just simply close this doc string like this. Okay, this function performs addition, and now inside this basically I'd be just, let's say, c is equal to a plus b, and I would be simply printing the c, right? And okay, here above in the bracket I just need to pass on the parameters that are a and b, right? Let me just take out that color once again. So a comma b, like this, right? And simply I would come out of my function. Now just let me come out of my function, and I'll be just calling out my function that is addition, and let me just give some value, let's say 5 comma 6. So when you're just going to run this, you'll be getting the required output, that is basically the addition of 5 and 6, right? This is true. But if you just want to access your doc string, so how we just do that access of doc string? So you need to write out the print statement first of all. Okay, inside the print statement you need to write that for what function you are actually accessing the doc string. So for us it is addition, right? The name for the function which we had made is addition. So I just wrote that addition here. I would put a dot here. Okay, after that underscore underscore doc underscore underscore, and then the close. So whenever you just want to access the doc string, right? Whenever you just want to access the doc string, this is the way how you will be accessing that doc string, right? You will first of all writing the name for the function. Firstly, print a statement. Okay, inside that print statement, name of the function which you are having, and whichever doc string you want to access. Let's say it's addition right now. Okay, I just wrote that addition here, and after that you need to put a dot here, underscore underscore doc underscore underscore, right? So basically this is about the doc strings in Python, and these are basically not the comments, and they are the documentation strings, and this is how we just write the doc string, declare the doc strings, and this is how we just access out the doc string, right? So I hope I just made this thing very clear to you regarding that doc strings. This is a very important topic in the Python programming. Make sure to revise this and make your concept very clear in this particular topic. Let's move to the third question for now. Okay, so my third question goes like how you can randomize the items of a list in place in Python. Okay, so let's say I am having a list in Python and I just want to randomize all of that like items in that list, right? Then how I will be doing that thing, right? So randomize here means that you need to like shuffle up all of the items. Let's say I have a list, and in that list I have 5 items. Okay, let's say first item is let's say milk, and then I have this, let's say cold drink, I have, let's say chips, I have chocolates, and let's say I have toffees, right? Let's say these are the 5 items which I am having inside the list. Now what I just need to do is that I just want to shuffle all of them, right? I just want to shuffle that like at the place of chocolates, chips should come, at the place of milk, cold drink should come, and all that things like this, right? So how will you be able to do that thing in the Python programming language, right? So this is a very interesting question that can come. So let's answer out this question. So I'll be explaining you this thing with the help of an example. Okay, I'll be explaining you. I'm just writing out the code in a OneNote. What you can just do is that you can just open your IDEs as well, and like try out this code on some IDE as well. Okay, so on some compiler, so that it is basically much clear to you, right? Fine. Let me just write out the thing here. So actually we have a module which is random. Okay, random, we have one module, and from that we have basically one from random I'll be importing one function, let's say, and that is shuffle, SHUFFLE. Okay, so random is the module which we are having, and from that we are importing a function that is shuffle. So this shuffle is the function which is used to randomize all the items of your list. Okay, so first of all, we'll be import from like random. You will be importing out the shuffle function, right? Now, I'll be taking a variable. Let's say my variable is A. Okay, I'll be taking out a variable, and inside that I'll be just writing out the basically some like I'll be making a list here. So my list is, let's say I'll be writing my list as, let's say A. I'll be simply giving some values here, okay? A, B, C, comma D, comma E. You're not just gonna take A, B, C, D, and E in your interview, right? You're not just gonna do that thing. You're just going to take some meaningful things, meaningful values, meaningful variables here. Here I'm just giving you an example that how to answer out this question. So in that case, I'm just simply taking it, right? So A is equal to, let's say this is a list which I have declared. Now how to like understand it is a list? So I have taken the large brackets here. So whenever we just define any variables, any values, any data types inside the large bracket, so that is always treated as a list. So that I have done here. Now simply I'll be using out my function which I have imported above, and that is shuffle. SHUFFLE. Okay, let me just write that in a little bit bigger handwriting like this. Yes, it's like this. Okay, shuffle. So shuffle, and in the bracket I'd be writing out the variable which I want to shuffle. So that is A here, right? And simply I would be just printing out here, print and then A. So this is the procedure, this is the way how we just randomize the items of a list in place in Python. Okay. So I'm just randomizing the items of a list from one place to another. Let's say I just do not know that what the answer will be, because this is a random function. In random, anything can happen, right? Let's say A would be gone to the D place, B will be gone to the E place, D will come to, let's say, C place, and something will happen like this, because I'm not sure, because it is a random function. Random means anything can happen, right? Let's say you will be getting any output for the first time. Let's say you rerun your program, you'll be getting another output. You again rerun your program, you'll be getting the next different output at the third time, because of my random function, right? So this is basically how we just randomize the items of a list in Python, in place in Python. Okay, this is the procedure which we actually follow, right? Fine. So I hope by the time you have actually implemented this code onto your IDEs and just got out some like results and outputs, right? Let's move to the next question. And my next question goes here, that what is type conversion in Python? Now this is a very interesting question and even a very important question, that what is type conversion in Python? Okay, type conversion, we just name it as typecasting as well. Okay. Now, okay, let me start off with the definition as well. So I'll be writing here, just one second, right here. So type conversion, okay, type conversion means conversion of one data type to another. Conversion of one data type to another. Okay. Now, another name for type conversion is typecasting as well. Listen to me very carefully. Whatever I'm just writing, note that down. But other than that, please listen to my words very carefully, because I'm telling most of the things verbally only, right? Important things I'm just telling verbally, and in written, I'm just telling you how to write out the answer for these questions, right? So basically, type conversion means the conversion of one data type to another. So the very first thing that you should make sure here is that another name for type conversion is typecasting. If typecasting comes or if type conversion comes, the definition for both of these remains the same. That is, it means conversion of one data type to another. Okay. Now, here I'll be listing out the things, listing out the functions that are helpful in in conversion of one data type to another. But let's say another question comes, that basically what are the ways of type conversion? Basically, how you just do the type conversion. So there are two ways of type conversion, that is implicit type conversion and that is explicit type conversion. Right? Implicit means that to convert each one data type into another automatically, and explicit type conversion means that converting one data type into another manually. Right? We'll be discussing about this thing in further interview questions as well, but here I just gave you a brief about both of these things, right? Now, here let's discuss about some functions which are actually helpful in the type conversion. Okay, so int. Now the very first function goes here is int. Now what it does actually, it converts. I'll be writing here, converts any data type to integer type. Okay, to integer type. Okay, this is the use of this int function. Fine, it converts any data type to integer type. So similar to int, we have float as well. Okay, I'll be just writing here float. So I'll be writing it converts. I'll be writing it converts any data type. It converts any data type to float type. Float means that decimal, right? To float type. So these two are similar to each other, integer and float. Now after that, basically I have another one, that is ORD, right? Now this is another function. Now what is it actually used for? So it is basically used for converting the character to integer. I will not again and again write convert, just understand that. So converting the character to integer. When you, let's say you are having a character, let's say ABC or something, and just want to convert it to the integer. So ORD is the like way, is the method where you just can use that out. Fine. Okay. Now other than this ORD, I have HEX. Now here comes the like the decimal and the binary values, the system, right? Number system. So hex, basically it converts integer to hexadecimal. I'm just writing integer to hexadecimal. Why I am just listing all of these things here? Because if like some particular function comes from here and like interviewer ask you that basically what is the use of this function, then you can just list that thing that okay, this hex is the function which is used to convert the integer to the hexadecimal, or float is basically it converts any data type into the float data type, and all those things you can just let that person know, right? That is why I'm just listing all of those functions here. So hexa is basically converting the integer to hexadecimal. Similar, we have oct as well. So it converts integer to octal. So I would just write here integer to octal. So basically these are the number system functions which are actually helpful for converting one into another. Okay. Other than that, I have another function which is tuple. Now what is this tuple actually used for? So basically this function is used to convert to a tuple. Whenever you just want to convert any other data type to a tuple, then in that case this function is used. So I'm just writing that used to convert to a tuple. Okay, this is the place where this is used actually. It is used to convert to a tuple. Now this is done. Other than that, I have a function that is set. Okay, now what is the set is used to? So this is a function that returns the type after converting to a set. Okay, it will be returning the type. Let me write that thing here. Returns the type after. Okay, returns the type after. I'll be just writing here converting. Returns the type after converting to set. Right, this is the whole idea, that it returns the type after converting to set. It is done. Right, now other than this, I have a list, right? So basically list is a function which is used to convert any data type into list. So any data type to list, right? Any data type to list. Now dictionary is basically dict. DICT. DICT is another function which we have. So this function is actually used to convert a tuple of order into a dictionary. Okay, it is basically used to convert a tuple of order key dot value. If a tuple is having this order that is key dot value, then only it converts it to tuple of order into our dictionary. Okay, like this. Fine. Now other than this, I have another one that is str. So it is basically used to convert the integer to a string. Okay, integer to str, that is string. I will just write that like this. Okay, it is basically used for converting the integer to a string, right? And now basically I have my last function. Let me just come a little down right here, and now I have my another function that is complex, and in bracket we have two parameters that are real comma imaginary, IMAG, right? So this basically converts the real to complex number. Okay, it converts the real number to complex, right? So basically these are the functions which we have here in the type conversion. So if any question comes regarding any of these functions, so you will be able to answer, right? The very first thing about the type conversion is that type conversion means the conversion of one data type to another. Then integer, float, ORD, hex, and then oct, tuple, set, list, dictionary, str, and complex. These are all the functions which comes, right? Now let me just take this question to this place and let's answer out this last question, that is, what are the key features in Python? Most interesting question of the Python programming language, that what are the key features of Python, right? That what are the key features in Python? Let's start. The very first key feature in the Python is that it is an interpreted language. Interpreted language. So basically Python is an interpreted language, right? It means, what does that actually interpreted language means? It means that it is a type of language in which we do not need to compile and basically compile the things. Simply we just like write it and we can simply run it. So in C and C++, basically what happens is that before running out the program, we firstly need to compile it, right? In compilation it shows that do you have any errors, something like that. But in Python it does not happen, because it is an interpreted language. It is not a compiled language. Okay, it is an interpreted language. Interpreted language means that in this particular language you do not need to compile your code before running it. Simply you need to run your program. If any errors are there, it will be listed. If not, then your desired output will come. Right, so I'm just writing in short and explaining in a brief. So just listen to me very carefully. The very first key feature is that Python is an interpreted language. Okay. Second thing comes that it is a dynamically typed language. Okay, just let me write that. Dynamically typed, like this. Fine. So basically Python is a dynamically typed language. So basically it means that before declaring any variable, you do not need to mention that what is the data type for this particular language. Let's say we do it in C or C++. What we do, we write integer a is equal to 10. We just write character str is equal to some string in that, right? We just do it like this. But in Python, you do not need to do that thing, because it is a dynamically typed language. That is, you simply need to write out the variable and give the value to that. Other than that, you do not need to mention any particular data type or something like that while declaring the functions in the while declaring and making out the variables in Python programming language, right? Now, third function comes that Python is a well suited for object-oriented programming. Okay, basically it is a object-oriented programming language. Okay, so I'll just write that well suited to, I would write object-oriented programming. That is oops like this. I would just not write the whole thing. Okay, so basically Python is a well suited to object-oriented programming. In that case, basically it allows the definition of classes along with the composition and inheritance. So basically in this you can just write out you can define the classes, you can define the composition, you can do the inheritance, and all those things you can do. And basically you can simply do that, simply you can just write out the things whatever you have to. So basically it does not need any particular access specifiers to be written. Let's say in C and C++, what we do, if we just want to make a private or public something, we just write that private, then we just write that public. So in this Python programming language, you do not need to do this thing. So basically you do not have to use the access specifiers in the Python programming language. So that is the case that it is well suited for object oriented programming as well, right? Other than this, basically we have that it is in Python the code is quick, right? Because basically it allows us to write out the code in a very shorter manner. So in that case it is quick. But basically at some times the running is often slower. But the NumPy library which we have in the Python programming language, that makes it in NumPy you can just put many large values, and in that case what is the mathematical calculations you are getting from that, it will basically give you all of the things in a very quick manner, right? So I'll be writing here the very fourth thing, that is writing Python code. I'll be writing Python code is quick. Okay, so basically writing out the Python codes is quick here. Okay, so these are basically some key features of Python programming language which you can write out here. Okay, and basically simply you can just use them. Other than that, we just also have one more function, that is in Python, functions are first class object. That is, you can pass any variable to a function, you can pass a function to a function, you can call a function, and all those things you can just perform. Okay, so the last key feature which I would include here is that functions are functions. Okay, just let me write that are clearly here. Okay, functions are first class objects, right? First class objects. So this means that you can just define any variable with a function, and you can just call a function with a function. You can declare a function inside a function, and all those things you can just do in this Python programming language. So these are some key features about Python which you can just list them, right? So I hope that I made all of these 5 questions clear to you, explained you them in a fine way. That very first question we have taken was what are Python packages. Then we had seen about the docker strings. Then we had moved to that how you can randomize the items of a list in place in Python. Then we had seen what is type conversion in Python. And then at last we had seen that what are the key features of Python. So I hope that you have got a clear and a fair idea regarding all the 5 topics, and basically I've also got a little bit of revision regarding these topics, right? So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care.